First things first, I want to start off by saying, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. Not only was he a Black Panther for the Marvel cinema, but if he was any older, he more than likely would have been a Black Panther in Oakland. Now, for the topic at hand. Why sports boycotted their respective leagues during the week, that Wednesday and Thursday. Well, in case you guys didn't know, there was a shooting by police officers on a young man named Jacob Blake, an African-American man. Now, you can say what you want about Blake having, not complied to police officers, whatever you guys want to say about him, fine. But the fact of the matter is, an unarmed black man, once again, was shot by a police officer in Wisconsin. This all took place in Wisconsin. Now, which teams are in Wisconsin? Well, the Milwaukee Bucks, and they felt like it was necessary to not play their basketball game against the Orlando Magic that day in order to voice their concern, raise awareness, protest, whatever you want to call it. They decided not to do it that day because social injustice is, raising awareness for that is way more important than a basketball game. And that's what people need to realize, is that what's going on right now is way more important than sports. And the Bucks weren't the first, or while the Bucks were the first ones to do it, they weren't the only ones. The Rockets and Thunder had their game coming up next, and they decided to boycott that game as well. The same day, MLB followed. The Texans game, or not Texans, but the Texas Rangers, the New York Mets, they all walked off the field and canceled and postponed their games for that day. Even the NHL, hockey guys, postponed their playoff games for that day. So after all that, after that big fiasco that happened where, we weren't expecting to get sports again for probably the rest of the year after what happened, they decided to return Saturday to resume the playoffs. And some of you might be thinking, well, why? Why only one game? Why did they only decide to postpone one game? What difference would that have made? Well, it made a big difference, because in case you're unaware on what they did accomplish by doing that, first things first, they made their message loud and clear. Like, this is important. This is way more important than a game, and we just proved it to you. So much happened. A lot of people recognized this. They noticed this, and that's what they needed to. That's the message they were trying to get across. Another thing is that the NBA and NBA Players Association came to an agreement on returning to the playoffs if and only if they made these commitments. 1, they would start a social justice coalition. 2, team arenas would become voting locations during the elections. And 3, they would put in advertising spots to promote voting during the playoffs. Now, you guys might be thinking as well, I don't want to think for you, but I'm just saying, from what I've seen, from what I've read in comments on Twitter and Bleacher Report and Reddit and all that, oh, this might be too political. Why are politics in sports? We just want to get away from everything and just watch sports. Well, first of all, you can't support black people only during sports. It doesn't work like that. They're not just athletes. At the end of the games, after they leave the locker room, they are still black. So you can't support them one time for 3 hours a day. That's not how it works. Secondly, please see Bill Russell, Jim Brown, Jackie Robinson, Muhammad Ali, and even Colin Kaepernick if you want to talk political. Sports has always been political. This is not something new. All right? Please understand, some people don't know what it's like to be an African American. Some people don't know what it's like to be an African American man. I know things might have changed in the eyes of some people, but for guys like me, nothing's different. And Malcolm X said it himself. He said it best himself. He said something along the lines of, if you were to stab me 9 inches deep and you only pulled the knife out 6 inches, the knife is still inside of me. There's no progress. And the only way to make progress is to keep the fight going. You know, the war is not over yet. And we need more people to speak up, not just black. It's tough. Honestly, I've never made a video like this, but I felt like it had to be made. You know, you can dislike it all you want, come at me in the comments all you want, but this is important. These things need to be said. And I'm glad that sports decided to take it upon themselves to voice their concern. The NFL canceled practices. The MLB postponed their games. Like this is big, and I'm glad it happened. I'll see you guys next week.